This is Pastor Unpacked. Real talk, real faith, real growth. Let's break down life with Jesus. Come on, church, let's unpack it.
Are we too comfortable to follow Jesus? Jesus didn't promise comfort. He promised transformation. Hello, I'm Pastor Bob McCabe again from Wadsworth Church Nazarene, and with me today I got Keith Ramser, and I'm giving my pastoral perspective on a topic, and Keith's giving his layman perspective as a topic and as a perspective, and both perspectives just show how the Lord works in our lives in the church, and so it's cool to get these two different perspectives. So what do you think when you hear that question? Are we too comfortable to follow Jesus?
Oh. We do like our comfort. Yeah. I do like my comfort.
Yeah.
Am I too comfortable to follow Jesus? I hope not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the willingness. For some reason, we don't like to try new things. Because think about how uncomfortable we had to be to be saved. That's the first uncomfortable thing you do in your life. Because it's by faith, right? You never met him. You never seen him in person. You hear stories of him, and something happens to you when you're inside, and like, oh, I want him, and so that's an uncomfortable feeling. Then when you make that decision, it's like, oh, yes. Like that was a good thing that we did. And so after salvation starts the learning process of learning him, looking at his word, and figure out how does that, what do I do? What do I do with that? And that's where discipleship's important, because we need people to push us, because if people have no idea what to do, they don't go anywhere. Right. They got salvation, but they don't know the rest of the story. Being saved is you're being born. So it's day one. And so that's why Jesus always compares it to birth, because the mom's got to take care of you that first year, right? So somebody's got to take care of you at salvation. Somebody's got to walk with you and help you through figuring out life. But man, we don't. That's not comfortable, right? Right. And even as seasoned Christians, we're still worried about discipling somebody, because we feel like we can't do it properly. Like, I'm not going to do well. I'm not going to help them properly. I may say this. I may do this wrong. So it's just uncomfortable. When we hear go, like, oh no, I ain't going nowhere. But he did. But he didn't promise comfort. But he did promise transformation. I'm going to change your life. I'm going to use you for good. You just keep renewing your mind. I've saved your heart. I'm in you. Now you got to do your part, and you got to learn me. It's like any relationship. We have to learn each other. And so I'm one of the weird ones. I fear being comfortable. Because when I get comfortable, because when you get comfortable, you get content. And you stop learning when you're comfortable. Because when you're comfortable, you're banking on what you know. And so I'm always trying to put myself in. I guess it's not me. It's the Lord. I'm willing to let the Lord challenge me. Because that's how I grow. Give me a challenge. all right, let's attack it, and so he taps into that, and because I like to be creative. Every creative thing I do, it's uncomfortable for me. Like, is this going to work? Is this going to make me look like a failure? Like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I got to try it though. Mm-hmm. I'll never know if I don't try. And, but it's funny how people are not that way. Nope. I want to get through today. Mm-hmm. My wife's totally different. Like, right, wants to know the schedule. Can't handle when things happen. You got to adjust during the day. Like, and I like it when it gets mixed up is when I come alive. Like, all right, here we go. And but again, that takes all kinds for the world to work, right? And for the church to work, because you need them different perspectives. You need my perspective. Let's try it. But you need people to say, well, hold on. And you need to hold on people to help you look through everything correctly. Maybe you need to make sure this is covered too as you're doing something, instead of flying by the seat of your pants and, mm-hmm. And so you might miss a detail. So we're not all called to be like me, but we're all called to take up our cross. And take up our cross is hard, and it's not going to be the cross ain't comfortable. So we have to be willing to want more, because if we want to grow, we got to get uncomfortable. It's the only way we grow, and so I think the key is to follow Jesus. That follow part is different than believe. We believe in him, and then now how do we follow him? Mm-hmm. And it's different for all of us. So what do you think about that?
Well, I was just thinking about one of my goals that you challenged us to for the year was faith. One of my goals was faith, not fear. And as I look at that, so much of the things I decide not to do is because of fear. And even things that might make my kids uncomfortable, or that might make my wife uncomfortable, yeah. Or not wanting to cause any distress in anybody's life. Yeah. And sometimes, I believe most of the time, obedience and following the Lord, it may cause some temporary.
Yeah, it's temporary until you do it.
Right.
Then when you do it, that wasn't that bad. Mm-hmm. But because you don't know what the result's going to be, it stops us from trying. And that's what's hard. Faith, we want to see it. So faith without works is dead. It's like we want to see it before we act out our faith.
Right. So it's going to be okay.
And that's hard, And so, I tried to look at find verses about being comfortable, and everything I found was the opposite of being comfortable. Like he said in Matthew 19, Jesus looked at them intently and said, humanly speaking, it is impossible. But with God, everything is possible. So, like, we can look at things in the human aspect. No, we can't do that. Mm-hmm. It ain't going to work, So with that's a comfortable stance. We're not going to do that because we can't do it. Well, God is saying, I'm with you. Anything is possible. So why not? Why not try? And so I love it. When I hear that, like, all right. Mm-hmm. And then you come talking about the fear. That's the opposite of faith, right? And so Timothy says this, for God's not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but a power of love and self-discipline. And so it's self-discipline is training to get ready for them moments that push us out of comfort. And it's time in the faith. It's time seeing the little things happen in your life and say, oh yeah, that was God. Okay. Because I think about from 17 to now, man, what I thought was huge things in my life back then were small compared to the things now, but that's God proving the impossible. The impossible is getting bigger and bigger all the time because of where I'm growing in the faith. And so, as a pastor, I try to keep the church a little comfortable. I try to get the church to be used to being uncomfortable. Because if you're used to it, you embrace what's happening, and it comes from expectation. Like the goal is when you come to church, anytime you come to church, the expectation God's going to move, right? And so in that expectation, you mean you're comfortable with what's going to happen today, instead of coming and you know what's going to happen. We're going to sing a song here. We're going to pray here. We're going to sing a couple more songs here. He's going to preach, and we're going to go home. And that's comfortable. When we could be doing that every Sunday, but we know somehow God's going to get us uncomfortable in that format. And man, that changes everything. But it seems like the Lord keeps me uncomfortable, so I just pass it on. You know, because every time I bring a visual to church, I'm uncomfortable.
That's surprising.
Well, it's just always like, I don't know, because it's faith, because are the people going to take this serious? Because sometimes I feel like the visual may, and this is just me and being in the fear part, is people going to think this is silly? Like, this is inappropriate. He just needs to speak from the word. And so it doesn't consume me. It's just every once in a while I'm like, because part of the problem is when I get the visual idea, it's a good and bad thing for me. When I get the visual idea and I get the visual, I don't mess with it until that morning, until I'm preaching, is when I fully touch it and go with it. So that's a lot of times when you guys see me interacting and the light bulb goes off and I'm getting all excited because it's genuine. I'm not thinking through how God is like this visual. And so as you're getting it, I'm getting it, because the rest of the week I'm focusing on the scripture that I'm talking about and diving into all that, studying that, and then the visual is just, here's what he's saying. Here's what it is. If we could see it, because that's how I learn. So I'm trying to, it's the 2-for-1. How I learn, how I see things, how I visually see things. And then here's the word, let's put it together. And so it's just, it's funny to watch how the church has changed since I've gotten here, how people's used to it now. And like I used to, other churches.
Some anticipation too.
But that's the willingness to be uncomfortable. Like, what's he gonna, what's gonna happen today? And that changes your mindset, where you come with a different attitude of, God, what you gonna do today, instead of, we know what's gonna happen. I'm telling you, that mentality changes everything when we come as a body of believers. But it's been fun to watch. Like, I used to never show my visuals. If I could, I kept them hidden until I was sharing. But here, I'm going ahead and putting it out on the stand and letting people see it. And I was wondering why I did it. Because sometimes I do things I don't understand. Like, all right, why am I doing this? And then one day I was with a young guy in the church, and he told me, he said, every Sunday when I come in there, I see your visual. The whole time I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about. And I'm like, all right, God, I got it. So basically, God's getting their attention. Yeah. He's getting everybody's attention into what he wants, because it's also, it's his message, right? Am I doing anything new? If you look at everything Jesus, all the parables that Jesus talked about was visuals around him. You know, he's like, look at this mountain. Look at it. Faith like mustard seed, you can tell that mountain to move, you know? And so I'm just trying to do what he does. I'm just making it real as possible so nobody can say, you know. Like I told you the other day about a church I went to interview at, I preached a message on superglue, how Jesus holds it all together. Well, 2 years later, I had to go back to help them, and they were trying to figure out who I was when they were talking to the DS, and the one guy said to the DS, he said, did the guy preach on superglue? And the DS said, that's probably him. And they said, yeah, tell him to come on, you know. And like when I was first preaching, learning how to preach, I mean, I'm preaching 18, 19 years old, figuring it out. And so like back then, the first suit I ever bought was bright red. My mom bought me a bright red and a bright blue. And my thinking was, I'm not a very good preacher right now, but if I look weird, I'm gonna keep their attention because they're gonna see this big old red thing walking back and forth. And I was in college. I was in college my senior year, and I was going to Texas to be a youth pastor. Well, there was a church in the town that was getting ready to close. They were closing in May, and they asked me to fill in for the last 2 months before they closed, and I was graduating and leaving. But the funny thing was a year before that, I was on a traveling team, and we traveled around, and I got to preach once every other month. And I got that suit. And I don't know what the church looked like when I go, you know. So like, as soon as I got that suit, I said, next time we go to church, I'm wearing that suit. And so I wear that suit to that church a year prior, and it was real small building, 10 people and 15 people in there. And I got this red suit on. But a year later, they were looking for somebody, and again, the DS was talking to them, and they brought my name up. They couldn't remember me. And somebody said, I think they may have talked about the traveling team that I preached there before. And they were like, did he wear the red suit? And they're like, yeah. And they said, tell him, come on. You know? And what was funny was I remember there was 3 sisters in their late 70s there. I go there, and I'm gone now. I go to Texas. I come back. 7 years later, I go to that church that calls me with the super glue, and there's one sister left, and she's at that church. She was in the Methodist church, and then she went to the Nazarene church because that church closed. And she remembered me 8 years later, and I asked about her sisters and said, oh, they've all passed, and I'm the last one. But it was just cool to see how we was all connected, you know. But me being uncomfortable has opened up doors for people to remember who I was, because I can still wear the red jacket. The pants don't fit, but the jacket, so I wear the jacket for Valentine's and different things. But being uncomfortable can be fun if we learn that it can be. We think comfortable is being fun, but when we go on vacations and whenever we want to go experience life, what are we going to do? Experience something new that will put us in an uncomfortable place. But it's having that mindset in our faith and in our churches of it's okay for God to do something different. And so it's but it's interesting living in that space. You know. But it's just where when I'm completely comfortable in my surroundings is when usually change is coming. And I'm like, oh no. And but when I'm uncomfortable always working on something this is where I am. And again, it's just the Lord speaks to us differently, but to follow Jesus, we got to be uncomfortable. And if we expect to be uncomfortable, it makes it easier to be uncomfortable. It's going into our jobs, being around families, but doing things with people and saying, all right, like doing a drive-through prayer. Never did it before. That was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable until the first person stopped. And I said, all right, this is going to work. Mm-hmm. But leading up to it, what am I saying the whole time? I don't know if anybody's going to stop. I'm not worried about it. I'm like trying to keep expectation really low because I don't know. It's new, right? It's new for me. And after the first person comes, I said, all right, if I just talk to one person a day, or even if I don't talk to nobody, the sign's got messages for people who's reading in their cars that they are loved. Mm-hmm. And but man, it's been great. The drive-through prayer's been great. And then moving the events outside the parking lot, that was uncomfortable, pushing everybody. Let's try this, Mm-hmm. And we find out, oh man, it actually can work. But it's just taking that step of faith, and then it's comfortable. Salvation, take that step. Took the step. Yep, got it. But until then, we can sit in our chair and never move. Because it's like, he's got to come sit on me. We just want to control the comfortable. Like, just meet me right here. And when Jesus is really just one step away. So, yeah. What do you think? What's the most uncomfortable thing I've caused in your life?
Tell me that.
What's the most uncomfortable thing I've caused in your life?
Well, I don't really know if there's anything super uncomfortable that I think just taking a real look at my faith has probably been the most uncomfortable thing.
And that's good.
Yeah.
That's what we all should be doing.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. It amazes me that been in church since I was little, came to faith when I was 27, but my perspective of being a Christian has changed dramatically in the last little while since you've been around. I guess my perspective before was just be good to other people, and that was enough. Yeah. Love other people. And
so what do you feel like you're trying to add to it then?
Well, I think it's being kind to other people isn't enough. It's shortchanging what God wants to be doing, and it's shown me that my love for God is maybe not near as strong as I thought it was, and I don't know exactly how to.
And that's good too, because we should always want more from Him.
Yeah.
Right, and not because if we're comfortable in the faith, it's saying, I'm good with you right now, God. This is all I ever want from you, and don't ask anything else from me.
Right.
Being uncomfortable means more. I want more of you. Yeah. And if you want more of Him, all right, you're running a race.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen in your race?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to be tired, but you got to keep going, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're going to have that. You're going to have them easy runs, which we need, right? Like, oh yeah, and then here comes a hill. All right, I'm not as strong as I thought I was, Mm-hmm. But you make the hill and you're stronger. So yeah. So it sounds like to me you're saying the application part.
Yeah.
The more the kindness and the goodness is, applying it to my life, going the extra mile. And the Lord and like you talked about before, your generosity, the Lord's pushing you with that, in different ways. And so yeah, that's a good observation. Because that's ultimately my goal as a pastor, is to push people to want more from Him. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's exciting to hear some people saying, because I just don't think it's amazing how people don't realize that where they work, wherever you're mostly at, that's your ministry. And I think it's where a lot of people miss. They think it's a job. Mm-hmm. When this is who you're supposed to be a light to. This is who you're supposed to love. This is supposed to be who you care for. And that's what's happening to a lot of people, is they're realizing, all the people around me is who I'm supposed to be a light to, because it's not about getting them to church. It's because they may go to church somewhere already, right? But it's about right now, Jesus is present in this environment. And so if we see that, it makes work a little easier. When we see this is our mission field. If the work is, if people are difficult with you, well, that might be your mission field, because they need what you got. Mm-hmm. So instead of trying to leave, embrace these people. Because it says to love our enemies, right? Not run from them, but love them. So get uncomfortable following Jesus. If you do that, man, your life is going to change. You're going to see Him move more in your life. And if you're looking for a church, you want to come to Wadsworth, come on. And, we appreciate you. This is Pastor Unpacked.
This is Pastor Unpacked. Real talk, real faith, real growth. Let's break down life with Jesus. Come on, church, let's unpack it.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.